Yeah, hi there. I'm just going to use the initials of your email, AG, and I am Michael, your English 306 instructor. You sent me an email a couple of days ago. I'm going to take time to answer it right now. So, here's what you say. In the first part, it says to write 2 paragraphs. On part A, it says to use formal talk, and part B to use informal talk. So can I get an example how I would write that? I mean, we wrote in class 2 paragraphs. I have done that. But I went to look back at your directions, and it said one way to use a formal and the other the informal. So yeah, we can do that. So let's see if I can give you an example right now. So let's say in our article 10 it discusses how involvement and independence are viewed differently by okay, this might be, let's say that this is an example of more formal. So this one says in our article, Tannen discusses how involvement and independence are viewed differently by many men and women. Here you might say, okay, here we go. Okay, let's just imagine that we had 2 sentences within 2 paragraphs, and in one of the sentences we were using what's called more formal talk and the other is informal talk, and then we want to try to compare the two. So in the first one we have, in her article, Tannen discusses how involvement and independence are viewed differently by many men and women. In the second one we say, and Deborah also says that many women speak more indirectly, but men speak more directly in their conversations with friends. So the question is this one probably reflects more of how I might speak, and how is that? Notice how in the beginning I put the word and. And is typically a conjunction that we use to join 2 sentences together. So if I wanted to make this paragraph more formal, I would probably I'd probably say furthermore. And of course, using someone's first name is more informal than using their last name. So if I wanted to make it more formal, I might use the word tannin like I did before. I can probably get rid of also. Instead of saying the word says, I can probably say asserts. I would never use that in conversation, but I might use it in writing. So furthermore, tannin asserts that many women speak more indirectly. Instead of using but there to make it more formal, I might use the word whereas. So whereas men speak more directly in their conversations with, how about, counterparts. So you see what I did here? Now let me ask you a question. So we have just changed this paragraph from informal to formal. So now it reads, furthermore, tannin asserts that many women speak more indirectly, whereas men speak more directly in their conversations with their male counterparts. So again, what I'm asking you to do is, in that first paragraph, where you're defining her idea of meta messages, you're using a more informal tone, and then in the other paragraph, like you do with all the other parts of your essay, you're using a more formal tone. So sometimes when we're changing our tone, we may make changes in vocabulary or transition words, as you just saw me do. Sometimes to change writing from informal to formal, we may make changes in our sentence style or sentence structure. So you'll notice that instead of two short sentences, I actually had one longer sentence, and that has a tendency to make the writing a little more formal. So that is how you do it. Alright, so there's your example of how you can change the tone of your writing from, say, informal to formal or formal to informal. Alright? And let me look at it one more time, make sure I have everything right. So in her article, Tannin discusses how involvement and independence are viewed differently by many men and women. Furthermore, Tannin asserts that many women speak more indirectly, whereas men speak more directly in their conversations with their male counterparts.